Because the Lord has anointed me. He has sent me to preach the good news to the poor, to proclaim release to the prisoners, to recover sight to the blind, and to liberate the oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. In Romans 4:8, 4 through 17. So then, brothers and sisters who have an obligation, we have an obligation, but it isn't an obligation to ourselves to live our lives on the basis of selfishness. If you live on the basis of selfishness, you are going to die. But by the Spirit, you put death into actions of the body, you will live. All who are led by God's Spirit and God's offspring. You didn't receive the spirit of slavery to lead you back into fear, but you received the Spirit that shows you are adopted as God's children.
Fear of the future. We all have this to varying degrees, affecting our behavior, our relationships, our generosity, and our ability to truly know the joy of life. The journey of Scrooge with the ghost of Christmas yet to come is harrowing. He tries to hide from it, run from it, to no avail. It is only when he realizes that he has the power to change the destructive course he is on that his fear is transformed into joy. Along with Scrooge, we can defy death-like attitudes and reawaken to life, no matter how far, of course, we might have gone. We haven't missed it.
Answer me one question. Are these the shadows of the things that will be, or are they shadows of things that may be? Hear me. I'm not the man I was. I will not be the man I must have been. Why show me this if I am past all hope? I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach.
I will try.
I will not shut out the lessons.
I will not shut out the Spirit
We will be the Spirit
Of love.
Of Christmas.
of blessings on us.
every one of us.
For
For
For the Spirit of the Lord is upon us.
We are not who we were.
We are not.
We are not.
We are not
We
We
are
are
those who have made change.
Those who will
make
make
change.
change.
I'm as light as a feather. I'm as happy as an angel. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. I'm as giddy as a drunken man. A Merry Christmas to everybody. A Happy New Year to all the world.
Daddy's gonna make you laugh now. Ready? Do it again. Daddy's just a regular stand-up comedian, isn't he?
Joy. Right? Did you not just giggle a little bit seeing it? Just the way that they set each other off, and it just ripples from baby to baby, and there's thousands of giggling baby videos on YouTube. If you're ever sad, just spend a minute doing it. Just a little pick me up at lunchtime if you need it. Cats too, yeah. Cats is a good one to watch. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of each of our hearts be filled with your joy, gracious God. Amen. Joy is so contagious. Have you ever experienced someone with true joy? I mean, like, not they were happy, like deep, deep joy. When it's pure and it's innocent. And I think that's why giggling babies on the internet has become such a phenomenon, because we can't always find a baby. And if you find a baby, maybe the baby isn't giggling at that moment, and you're not too excited to be around that baby. Or the baby thinks it's awesome to be giggling at like 4 a.m., and you think that is so not funny. But that joy, that pure joy, is something that touches us. Whether we're in a good mood or a bad mood. You see, moods are one thing, but deep abiding joy comes from a different place. Happiness and joy have become to be used simultaneously in our culture. Like, oh, I'm so happy when I find $5 on the ground. Right? Yeah. But joy is another thing, because when you are happy, your happiness can be taken. Your happiness can be changed at a mood switch, meaning I was happy before I got to work today, and then my boss started yelling at me, and now I'm mad. I am no longer happy. But joy is something more than just an emotion. It's a way of life. Deep, abiding joy can't be taken because of your circumstances. Deep, abiding joy isn't taken because of what you're going through. Deep, abiding joy actually carries you through what you're going through. Deep, abiding joy lives in your heart deeper and longer than happiness ever can. People say to me as a parent, don't you want your kids to be happy? I say, no, I don't. I want them to experience joy. Happiness is fleeting. I'm going to give you a toy and you're happy. I'm going to take it away and you're sad. But I want you to have a joy that's eternal joy. You see, the baby Jesus is more than just a giggling baby that brings us a little bit of happiness. The baby Jesus is deep, abiding joy. You see, the reason that Jesus came into our lives was so that God would know what it would feel like to be human. God had experienced everything. God had created the earth, the heavens, the moon, everything, the animals, even humans themselves, but God had never had the experience of being human. And God says, what's that like? What's that like to be betrayed by your best friend? What's that mean that your mother loves you so deeply that she's there for you through anything? What's that like to just want to hold a baby eternally? What's that like? And so God gave Mary Jesus. And to be honest with you, I don't know if Mary was happy about it. I mean, it really kind of messed her life up at that time. Remember, she was supposed to be married to Joseph, but then Joseph was like, I don't know about this whole thing, because somehow you ended up pregnant, and we have not done anything that can make a baby, so she's in this small town where I'm sure people were gossiping, right? Yep, Angela says. You know that there were some words being, and all she has is the reassurance that some angel came and said, no, everything's going to be all right. But then you're like, is that angel even real? It's not until the Magi show up that she knows it is. But I'm sure she still wasn't happy about it. This king that was born to her still was in a stall. It was still smelling like animals. It was still in a hay trough. That doesn't seem like it would be happy times. Where are they going to live? She hopes that Joseph stays with her. But what if he doesn't? But I know that Mary's faithfulness gave her something. It gave her joy. Remember, Mary was chosen because she was so faithful that God said, you, my child, you, 15-year-old girl, you, woman who has nothing, have the capability, because of your deep devotion and joy, you can have my son. For you'll love him through the difficult times. You will be there, not happily, not because you want to, but because your joy and celebration in your heart from knowing me rides deeply. Do you want to be happy? Now you're all scared, huh? You're like, no. Or do you want to be joyful? That even through the most difficult times in your life, that you know you don't go alone. Because God is with you. You don't travel on this road by yourself. We're going to have the baptism of AJ coming up pretty soon. And baptism in the Methodist Church means something really special. You see, God loved us before we were ever here walking around. God's grace came before us, and God's going to love us anyway. And there's no question about that for me. But what does baptism mean? Baptism means that she's being brought into Christ's family. But not just Christ's family, this family. Not just these folks who already showed up because she loved her, they loved her, but these folks, because we now love her. Being baptized means it's a commitment. It's actually a vow, like you say on your wedding day, that you're going to partake in taking care of her and loving her, showing her what deep joy is, giving her a love of life that just isn't happy, that just isn't presence and good time, but it's a deep, abiding joy that when times are difficult for her, not through the teenage years, because everything's going to be perfect, but at other times, you don't go alone. You go with aunties, you go with uncles, you go with cousins, you go with multiple grandmas. You go with God. That type of joy. That in the dark night of your soul, someone has been there before, someone's with you there now, and in the end, you'll reach an arm out to someone who will go through it later. Have you ever been there? When you didn't feel the joy? When it seemed like there was nothing but pain and heartache? When you were alone and you just said, man, I wish somebody was here for me. If I just had one person. We're here. We're your people. We love you. And for that, we say, thanks be to God.